Hey everyone, Ape Analytics here, first ever YouTube video. This might be a bit awkward, apologies in advance. We're going to talk about Python today. Python is a totally awesome programming language. It's used by many companies, it's easy to learn. You can do a lot of stuff with it without needing to purchase a license. All you need is a computer basically. And there are so many use cases. You can build a website with it, design a game, you can also do data analysis and data science, which is going to be the focus of our channel. In this first video of my Python for Analytics series, we're getting started with the basics. How to get it on your machine and how to get started if you don't know anything about Python. So let's get to it. What you can see on the screen is a Jupyter Notebook. To get Jupyter on your machine, you need to go to Anaconda. They have a website. Here's the URL. I'll add it in the video description. And once you get there, you hit download, and it's going to take you to this page. You basically just need to choose your platform. So are you a Windows user, Mac user, or Linux user? I'm a Windows man. And select Python 3.7. If your computer runs in 64 bits, download this one. And once you get it, you can open it. And this is what Anaconda looks like. You have multiple things in there, code editor, RStudio, Spider, but what we're going to focus on is the Jupyter Notebook here. So then you can click launch and it's going to open in your browser. You don't need an internet connection, but you need a browser to open a Jupyter Notebook and interact with it. You don't even need to open the Anaconda navigator every time. You can just create a shortcut for Jupyter. Now we have a Jupyter Notebook running and we can have a quick look at what the interface looks like. This is basically organized in what they call cells. So each container that I highlight is a cell. There are two modes to interact with them. The first one is the command mode, blue, and this is what the line here tells you. You can see that vertical line is blue, or green, which is edit mode. And to switch between command mode and edit mode, you press enter, you see it turns green, and you press escape to go back to blue. Command mode is the one that you use to navigate cells, and edit mode is the one that you use to actually type in some content into these cells. Okay? The first thing you can do is write a piece of Python, because after all, this is the purpose of that video. So we can just type in print hello. And I can run it by pressing Control and Enter together. You can see there's an output. But this is not the only way you can run a cell. Another way to do it is by pressing Alt plus Enter. You have a piece of Python there. I'm going to run it and you're going to see what happens. A cell has been inserted below the one that I just ran. It's pretty useful if you want to run multiple cells in a row and you're coding as you go, because I can then add 3 times 3 and then do it again. See, a new cell is inserted. The third way you can run a cell is by pressing Shift and Enter. And this one automatically moves to the next cell. So let's do that together. I've highlighted my first cell, Shift and Enter, 1 plus 1 equals 2. And you can see that automatically I've moved on to the next cell and I can press Shift and Enter again, 4. This is pretty useful if, for instance, you're opening a notebook that has already some code written in it and you want to run multiple cells quickly. There's also shortcuts to insert cells and delete them. In command mode, you can insert cells by pressing A above or B below. And then you can delete them using the X key. In Jupyter, a cell can hold some Python code, but it can hold other things, text, for instance, that you can format nicely. I'm going to give you an example by toggling between some code in Python and a markdown type for text formatting. That cell that I've highlighted at the moment currently is of markdown type. And in command mode, if I press Y, it's going to move back to code. You can see up there, it's code again. But if, say, I wanted to add some text, I can do that by pressing M, then enter to get into the cell, and just say, this video is so awkward. Control Enter. This was a brief overview of the interface and the key shortcuts, but you can find out more in the help section. Under keyboard shortcuts, you have an exhaustive list of all the shortcuts available. I don't use them all, I don't know them all, but you can find stuff there. You can also get an interactive tour of the interface, and you just press the arrows, and Jupyter will walk you through the different sections. If you want to save your notebook, there's two options. The first one is to download your notebook as a Jupyter Notebook. So it's a .ipynb file that you'll be able to open later on and edit. If you don't care about editing your file, or if you're sending your file to someone who doesn't have Jupyter Notebook on their machine, you can download it as an HTML file. This file can be opened by anyone as long as they have a browser, and they can take a look at what you've done. The only thing to know with this type of file is that you won't be able to run Python from it. Now, we can move on to some actual Python. You can do a lot of stuff in Python, including some pretty basic stuff, and a lot of the mathematical operations that you know can be done very easily. One plus two equals 3. Two times 8 equals 16. Etc. You don't have to work with numbers, you can work with text as well. So let's say we have a piece of string like that, and a piece of string like that. If I add them together, Python concatenates them into one string. So you can see that when you do a plus operation on two numbers, not going to be the same result as a plus operation on two strings. And this is it really, anything's possible. Another thing that I'd like to mention in this first video is commenting in cell, because as in many programming language, you can add comment to your code to make it, easier to understand, easier to explain to people. And in Python, commenting is done with the hash key. So you can see, if I run this cell here, only the print statement is run. The two elements that start with the hash key are not run, they're ignored. The final thing that I'd like to talk about today is variables. Variables are a key concept in programming, and Python in particular. What you have on the cell here is x equal sign 7. In Python, that means that I'm assigning the value 7 to the x variable. Think of a variable as some sort of box in which you can store information. In that instance, I store 7 in x. Then I ask Python to multiply x by 2, which is why, when I run the cell, I get the result 14. As a closing comment, I'd like to talk about Stack Overflow. I'll add in the video description a link to the website. This is the ultimate source of information when you're stuck in programming. Here is the URL. You can take a look at the website, start typing some questions if you're curious. Chances are, if you Google a Python question, the first results are going to be Stack Overflow links. There's great information there and great people contributing and helping one another. So I guess this is it. Thanks a lot for watching. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment to let me know what you think and what you'd like to see next.